What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. WBC President Mauricio Suleiman has reinstated Dillan Whyte as the interim WBC heavyweight champion, and he is now the mandatory to face Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury winner, must face Dillan Whyte by February of 2021. So he's back, got his mandatory status. I guess they saw the ruling that the UCAD gave them that they said that there was nothing to see here. Basically, the small trace of Dibbo or whatever they call it, banned substance found in his system was small trace amounts, and he had took multiple tests since then and before then that he tested positive for. So they say his track record showed that he is not, we're not going to hold this time that he got popped dirty. We're not going to hold that against him since he's has a track record of testing clean for these drug tests. That's basically what they said. They said, we now, he's had, I think Dillan Whyte did an interview, said, I took 40 tests and haven't been tested positive for anything. So I guess they say 40 out of 42 tests, that's good enough for us. He's failed 2 drug tests. He's got popped twice. So basically, I'm just using his numbers. I'm using Dillan Whyte's numbers. He said he's passed 40 tests that he hasn't been caught with nothing in his system. So those other 2 times is, we're just going to sweep that under the rug. So basically 40 out of 42. If this was shooting free throws in the NBA, James Harden, this would be a good thing. But if we talking about popping dirty, if you get popped dirty for one time, you need to be held accountable. And he hasn't been held accountable either time that he's been popped dirty. But it is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm glad that, all the begging and crying and pleading, talking about 600 some days. I've been mandatory, which was a lie. You've been 600 some days. You've been the #1 contender, but you wasn't a mandatory. And let's talk about the mandatory. You could have been got the fight with the bronze bomber. Could have been had that fight with Deontay Wilder. Could have been did it. The WBC, let's go back in history. Let's retrace our steps. Let's go back in history and let's retrace our steps. The WBC ordered you to fight Luis Ortiz twice, and you turned that down. You went the other way. You know what I'm saying? You went the other way. You fought Derek Chisora in the rematch. Before that, you fought Joseph Parker the first time they ordered that instead of fighting Luis Ortiz. The second time they ordered that, you went and fought Derek Chisora again. So you had 2 opportunities to beat Luis Ortiz, and you would have got Deontay Wilder next. Deontay Wilder did several interviews stating that, saying, hey, beat Luis Ortiz and you got me. I'm a man of my word. And everything that Deontay Wilder has said, has come to fruition. So you can't say this guy's a liar. You can't say, I can't trust nothing what Deontay says. Everything he says come into fruition. So that's just, he's had multiple opportunities. But now you're going to get your shot. And we'll see what happens. Now, I think what's going to end up happening is, like I said, Deontay Wilder's fighting Tyson Fury on February 22nd. They've got unfinished business. They need to settle the score. You got a lot of people thinking Tyson Fury won. You have a lot of people thinking Deontay Wilder won. Myself, I had to fight a draw. Very close, very competitive fight, but Tyson Fury with them 2 knockdowns and him throwing a lot of punches that he was getting credit for that he really wasn't landing. He didn't do enough to take the title away from Deontay Wilder, in my opinion. And plus I thought if it was any kind of robbery going on, I think Jack Reese robbed Deontay Wilder. That's what I think. I think he robbed Deontay Wilder in the 12th round. That fight should have been waived off. You see how they waived off the Ortiz fight? Tyson Fury was in worse shape than Ortiz was when he was knocked out by Wilder a couple of weeks ago. But they let that fight continue. He was motionless for 4-5 seconds, eyes rolling in the back of his head, chalk outline in the middle of the ring, and the referee still counting. What you counting for, man? This man is gone. He's not moving. You're supposed to wave that fight off. But anyway, give him credit for getting up, waking up from the dead, doing the Undertaker remix, got up and got back on his feet, and he actually landed some punches that got Wilder's attention. So he came back and had a strong finish to that round. But I had it a draw. And that's just what happened at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens with that. But I think once Deontay Wilder gets by Tyson Fury, which I expect, I think he's going to knock him out. Knock him smooth the fuck out. Put him to sleep without the NyQuil. I think he's out of there in the rematch. And I think once he gets through him, I heard a lot of speculation saying it's going to be a rematch. I don't see it being no rematch, simply the fact that Tyson Fury is the mandatory. So if you're a mandatory, it shouldn't be no rematch clause. Rematch clause is for, volunteers. Like when Joshua fought Ruiz the first time. Him and his team was smart enough to put a rematch clause in there. When they got upset, they was able to get the immediate rematch and get those belts back in a snooze fest. Now, I think that's the case with Wilder and his team. You know, he's got a smart team working with him, and I doubt if they would be. Let me switch that. Well, just with that just being a mandatory, that's a mandatory fight. I don't think it's a rematch clause. It's no need for a rematch clause in a mandatory fight. If the mandatory guy's number one and he beats the champion, he walks away with those belts, he can move on to other fights. So, if he wants to give the former champion another title, it's up to his discretion. That's what I mean. This shouldn't be. It's nothing in the contract due to past fights that would suggest that a mandatory challenger would have to sign off on a rematch clause with the champion. He doesn't have to do that. Now, if they did do that, him and his team did do that, that's one thing, but that's not what past history has shown us. But we'll see what happens. I just assume that Deontay Wilder gets by Tyson Fury, and whoever wins that fight gets by them, they move on. But I don't think Dillan Whyte's going to be the next fight. I want it to be the next fight. I want it to be that if Deontay Wilder knocks out Tyson Fury, he fights Dillan Whyte next. But I don't think that's going to be the course of action. I think Wilder will fight Adam Konaki. I think that's the next fight. You heard it here first. When you hear these other people, if that fight gets announced after the Fury fight, people be saying, "Oh man, I heard this and I heard that Wilder's gonna fight Konaki if he beats up Fury." You heard it here first. I'm telling you, this is how it's gonna go. Adam Konaki was at the Luis Ortiz rematch. He was there and he got interviewed by the Fox commentators. He wasn't there by chance or circumstance. He was there for a reason, not for a season. He's there because they lining him up. The PBC is lining him up as the next opponent for Wilder. So you got to understand that his last fight against Areola, Konaki, he looked very vulnerable in that fight. A lot of people thought he was going to go in there and whitewash Areola, because Areola had looked beyond shot his last fight. But he actually got to that fight, and not his last fight, but the fight before. I think he fought on he fought on somebody's undercard, and he fought some kind of journeyman, some dude, some Frenchman, and knocked him out, but he wasn't looking that good before he got the knockout. But before that, man, Areola looked a shot. But anyway, a lot of people thought Konaki was going to run through him, but that was an action-packed fight, and Konaki took a lot of punches. So I think PBC seeing that fight, they want to get him in line for that fight with Wilder. They don't want to take no chances of putting him in there with Luis Ortiz or put somebody in there, Luis Ortiz or even a Dominic Brazil, and take that chance of him getting beat. So I think they're gonna set him up for a fight with Wilder. I think that's going to be the next fight for Wilder. He fights Konaki, and after he fights Konaki, then we can start talking about a fight between him and Dillan Whyte. So I think we're still maybe about 2 fights away from Deontay Wilder versus Dillan Whyte. Now Dillan Whyte is looking for an opponent. I heard Eddie Hearn was asking about Dillan Whyte, and they mentioned Andy Ruiz as the next opponent. But Andy Ruiz is not with Matchroom. Andy Ruiz is with the PBC, so I'm pretty much sure he's going to go back to the PBC and get matched up with the deep stable of heavyweights that Al Heyman has under his stable. So I would look to see him matched up maybe with an Areola. They can match him up with a Charles Martin. They got a lot of people they can match him up with, a lot of different type of fighters they can match him up with, and try to get him focused and get him stepping back in good shape, and he can try to work his way back up into another title shot. So we'll see what happens, man. But let's just look at Dillan Whyte, his path to this eventual mandatory position, man. I gotta give Dillan Whyte credit. He's fought some good fighters. He's not the greatest fighter in the world. He doesn't do anything great. He's got a decent jab. He's got a long arm, so he does a good job of using his limb. But he just gets hit way too much to be in the ring with somebody like Wilder. He's gonna get put to sleep in that fight. But he beat Lucas Brown, beat Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora in the rematch, Oscar Rivas, and Maurice Watch beat them. So he's been in there with some names. Ain't nobody on that name. You be like, who is this? Like a Otto Wallen or whoever that dude he fought before Otto Wallen. Tyson Fury, a bunch of no names. You had never heard of them until they was matched up with Tyson Fury. You actually heard of these names? So I can say all these 5 fighters that he fought leading up to the mandatory position are at least top 15, top 20 heavyweights. All of them. So he's fought some decent competition, and it's time for him to get his shot, man. It's time for you to get your shot, man. You done enough wolfing. Been done enough barking, and it's time for you to, it's gonna be time for you to bite, man. It's time for you to let that chain, let him off that chain, and and to see if you the big dog, if you can stay on that porch, man, or if you got to get back out in the backyard and get back, put back in the doghouse back there. You ain't that guard dog that we need to be on that front porch, keeping them burglars and keeping them intruders away, keeping them from even thinking about running up in your spot. So you ain't that type of. We gonna find out if you that guard dog that need to be on that front porch, or you that dog that need to be put out in the back and tied to the tree in the backyard, or put in the doghouse in the backyard. But you ain't gonna do nothing but tear up some stuff and all that. Ain't gonna do nothing when the smoke come and we need you to, scare those predators away, or scare, make them people that's looking to make a move on your spot think twice about coming over there. So we'll see what happens, man. But again, Deontay Wilder and Dillan Whyte look like it's gonna happen, and hopefully, look like it's gonna happen. It's not gonna be next, I don't think, but hopefully we get that toward the end of 2020. But it's gonna go down at least no later than 2021 of February. But both guys got to continue to win, and Wilder's got a tough fight coming up with the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury, and Dillan Whyte got some fights he needs to line up. Maybe he gets the Hunter Povetkin, get one of those next, and move on through them, and then maybe you got some other fights out there that he can fight. You got the guy Flip Hiroki, the new guy on the scene that they've been hyping up and stuff like that. Flip boy, Flip. I'm just gonna call him Flip. Got Flip up there. Maybe you get in there with him. And you got some fights that can be made, man, where he can make some money. So we'll see what happens, man. But that was the news came down today, that Dillan Whyte has been reinstated as the WBC interim champion, and his mandatory position has been reinstated for the body snatcher, Dillan Whyte. So he gets the winner of Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder versus Tyson the Gypsy King Fury in a rematch slated to take place in February 22nd of 2020. That winner of that fight must face him by February of 2021. So they basically have a year to face him. So in the meantime, I will be looking for both guys at least getting in 2 fights before they're going to be slated to match up with. So we'll see what happens in these next couple of fights, and hopefully we'll get the matchup that I'm ready to see. I'm almost ready to see this fight more than I want to see Wilder versus AJ, because it's all the talking, all the innuendos, like White saying, "Oh, Wilder sees something in me that he doesn't want to, get in the ring with me. He fears me, that's why he's been ducking me. He don't want to get in the ring with me. Look at my resume. My resume is better than Ortiz." And I this and that, and remember after he beat Lucas Brown, he got up there and said, I'm ready, let's go, I'm ready. He was all like that. He was fired up when he thought he was gonna get that title shot. But you gotta understand that Dillan Whyte was supposed to get the fight with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder told Eddie the con artist that, hey, put AJ on the end of that contract. I'd be more than happy to go to the UK and knock out Dillan Whyte. But just make sure once I do that, I get the AJ fight next. And Eddie Hearn pulled a red on Friday and said no. Ain't gonna happen. He said, I don't want no part of Debo. That's basically what Deontay Wilder was in that picture, Debo. And Eddie Hearn was red, talking about, you want some of this, old man? Nope. That's what Eddie Hearn told Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder told him to put AJ on the end of that contract after he puts to sleep Dillan Whyte. Didn't happen. But finally, we're going to have it going down, man. We got some good fights lined up. The heavyweight division is on and popping, man. Can't wait for February 22nd, Wilder Fury 2. And can't wait for whoever wins that. Hopefully, I think it's going to be Wilder to match up with the body snatcher. That'll be a big pay-per-view fight. Now, another thing I forgot to mention while I'm thinking about it. If this fight goes to purse bid, it's gonna be very interesting. I think Eddie Hearn will probably try to get that fight over there in the UK because it's a mandatory, so they can go to a purse bid. But Matchroom's got deep pockets, but they don't have deep pockets like the PBC. So if they get into a purse bid battle with PBC is gonna outbid them. So I think that fight is gonna take place in USA, United States. So Eddie Hearn, knowing this, might just go and negotiate a deal with Al Heyman for the fight to take place in the USA, knowing that he's not going to win a purse bid. So we'll see what happens, man. But, maybe with the DAZN behind him, DAZN got some deep pockets, but they've been trying to cut back a little bit because they lost a lot of money here, putting a lot of money into Canelo and Triple G and Joshua. It'd be interesting to see by the time we hit the end of 2020, will they be willing to put up the money for that fight. So we'll see what happens, man. But it's a lot of moving parts, man. A lot of things need to be decided, man. But don't be surprised if this thing go to a purse bid, because Eddie Hearn, when he first mentioned Dillan Whyte two years ago to fight Deontay Wilder. That fight he wanted to take place in the O2 Arena in the UK. So I think even at this point, with Wilder profile increasing, his brand is more popular, they still might try to get that fight in the UK. Because that's his dream, is for Whyte to upset Wilder, and then he can have an all-British battle between Whyte and AJ for undisputed. That's what he really wants. That's what he's been angling for the last 2 or 3 years, not AJ and Wilder, truth be told. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what's going on. This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. Holla.